They've been through things that you could never imagine.
Everyone stresses out playing paintball, and you're literally saving people's lives.
He's right. I come back home and I'm stressed out, and I don't really talk about my inside life too much. People yelling at you, people putting you in very high stressful situations.
Photographer of the year, let's hear it for Dan Shelley, Shellda Photos.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Shellda podcast, where today I'm joined by, one of the coolest guys in the league that I think has such a cool story that not a lot of people know about. And so I'm really excited to dive into this. But Chris Caputo, welcome to the show.
What's up, man? What's going on? How are you?
I'm good. It's been such a busy summer. We're in that weird long break, like in between NXL events, which is normally like a really slow time for me, but doing the podcast it's a full-time job. I don't ever want to miss a week, and so I'm always working on guests for like 2 or 3 weeks out, and like going back and forth with questions and whatnot, as with me. And so it's, even though we're like in that lull of the season, it's been super busy.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's all about consistency. That's how everyone grows, right?
That's it. Yeah. You and I are recording this a day or two before the ESPN live airing on Friday, which will be so cool for the sport.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to see if we get some traction and get some more eyeballs on it, and maybe that'll open up some more doors for the sport too.
Yeah, for sure. I'm really excited for it as well.
Yeah, same. Well, cool, man. We've got a lot of things that we're going to dive into about you personally. But before we do that, I've got some show sponsors who have been with me since day one. And, first and foremost, like Hormesis. I know we'll talk about your headband in a little bit, but I've got, Hormesis has been with me since day one. Alex and Oliver and the team have just been such a gem to work with. I feel like every time I see them, it's just like family. We've always got something to talk about. They hooked it up with the new, spring collection, even though we're in the summer. Spring collection. It's like that dry fit material. So like, even though it's hot out, like the sweat wicking. Those guys are great. And then Pro DNA has been on with me for the past few months too. And I've been traveling so much this year. And this summer, I've got my stepkids in town, and it's like we're hitting the pool a lot. And I got that new backpack they have, like the modular one. And dude, like
sweet.
Yeah, I've got like all my beach gear in here, like my towels, like the kids' toys and whatnot. And so like I take this thing literally everywhere with me. And the nice thing about that is you can get that at bfpgear.com, which is my last sponsor. So it's so cool how it all ties in together. And then just a huge extra shout out for BFP Gear. They're sponsoring PB Fit and Dynasty right now, and their brand is going to be on ESPN. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I think if you asked, Junior and Gina Brown of BFP Gear at the start of the year, like, hey, would you imagine sponsoring 2 of some of the best teams in the world, and you're going to be on ESPN too? They would be like, no way, not a chance. So wild.
Yeah, man, it's awesome.
Well, let's dive into it. So I think for a lot of the folks who are, obviously really invested in tournament paintball and watching the pro scene are going to know who you are. But I think, I've got some casual listeners too who may not watch as much pro paintball as some others. But I think you are kind of known around the scene for the last few years for your headband. So like, tell us about that. I know you've got it there with you too.
Yeah. I brought it just in case you would bring it up. This headband, man, GB Snake Stripe, had this thing forever. It's like literally falling apart. Actually, the last event I didn't wear it because I was just like, I don't know. I was afraid it was going to like just fall apart, because sometimes when I pull it too tight, I hear, I'm like, but I'm probably going to bring it back out, wear it till it falls apart. I got it actually off one of these guys on Instagram. His name's Tyler. He I was asking him for a while for it, and when I got it, it was like a little torn up, like it was starting to fray and stuff like that. But like then I really just put a number on it throughout the years,
Gosh, and is that something that you're now at a point where like you're either not washing it at all, or it's like once every month and you're like just gently doing it?
Yeah, I have to actually, like, if I want to wash it, you don't just throw it in the washer. If I did that, it probably wouldn't even be It would be like pieces of material everywhere if I did. So I hand wash it and then I just air dry it.
Yeah, it's so crazy because, like, you know, obviously you and I know, and everyone listening, like how special headbands are, right? Like
Mhm.
it's one of the few unique things you can wear in a field to like separate you from your teammates. Um, did you ever think years ago that like you would be known like for your headband? Because like everyone knows you for that now.
No, no, I honestly didn't. But I noticed like sometimes when people like pass by me at events, they're like, "Yo, that thing's about to fall apart," or "that thing's sick," or they most of the time it's like compliments and stuff like that. So yeah, like you said, I mean, people know me and they're like they attach a headband with it now because I've been wearing it the past couple years.
Yeah, I think it sounds like you're kind of getting to the point where you're only going to pull out for like special events or special tournaments.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I try to wear it like every event. I said like once we go pro, I would stop wearing it, but then, I wore it the first event and, I just didn't wear it the last one just because I seen it and I was like in a rush between work and stuff like that. I was like, you know what? Let me just not even have to worry about this thing.
Yeah.
Just get my other one.
Yeah, it's so hard, because like I've got a Hormesis band that I did with the children's book for Dynasty a few years ago, and I've worn it every single week for I don't know what is it 3 years now, and like that thing's got such a nice fade on it.
Mhm.
And one of my buddies gifted me one of his own personal Community Kings bands from Hormesis, and I was like so honored that he did that, and I brought it to the Midwest Open to wear it in Cincinnati, and like I put it on, like, man, just it feels different. Like I kind of missed my own band, like you
Yeah,
get so used to it.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
So it's
I
just
actually, I still have, I think these two up here. Like, remember when they were like going for crazy amounts of money?
yeah,
I don't even know if this one's in here. No, this one's not even in here. I had the Iron Kids one.
yes,
I had
yeah.
that. I was wearing that for a while. And then I
Actually,
think this
keep
is
talking about that. I'll grab something quick.
yeah, I think this is Greenspan's headband. Yeah, this is Ryan Greenspan's headband. And then I had one of the very first original ones that remember when they first dropped and like people didn't really know what was going on and no one was really buying them. I remember I bought it and then a couple weeks later they absolutely blew up. And then I sold it for like $900. It was like something crazy like that. And
God.
I still have a couple because I was like, I wanted to keep a couple. I didn't want to just sell everything, but that was just one I was willing to get rid of at the time.
Yeah, holy cow. It's so crazy because like I know people like kind of laugh at it, like, oh, it's just a piece of fabric, but
Yeah.
it's handmade, they're handmade in
Yeah.
Bali and all that. Um, yeah, I went as soon as you said Iron Kids, like it sparked something for me. This is like the first and only band that I spent some money on a few years ago. This one, I don't know if it's gonna show at all. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
So this is like their heavier one. But what's unique about this one, if I can get the tail in focus, this is like a 1 of 6 headband. I think this was
Mhm.
like a test headband that they did. And so they only have like 5 or 6 of these that were ever made. And I think Greenspan has one of them, and like so it's a super rare one, and that's something I only bring out for special occasions too. So
Mhm.
yeah, it's so cool like how unique headbands are for us, and like every single person's got a story about it.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Um,
I mean, I wore that Iron Kids one for a little while. It has like some rips in it. I got it somewhere in my closet,
yeah.
but I was wearing it, I think, what was it, last year or the year before for a little bit? I went to the Hormesis Duel, which was a great time. Pretty sure it was in California. It was at SC Village, right?
Yep.
Um, yeah, I did that. That was a lot of fun. I had a great time. I actually got third place at that one, so I was like so mad. I was the kid that won, Tommy Greenleaf.
Yeah.
I was playing against him, and I was actually beating him by like 3, and he had like a sick comeback. I can't even be mad about it. I mean, I was definitely kicking myself in the ass for a little while, but you know, you win some, you lose some.
Yeah, totally. It's a cool format that they do too. Like it really shows your strengths and your weaknesses as a player.
Yeah.
Because it's quite the grind. Hey, really quick before we go further into this podcast, I just want to take a moment and say thank you so much for all of the amazing support. This past year, starting this journey has just been phenomenal with how much support you've given me. That has made me wonder, though, only about half of you that are watching and listening are subscribed to this YouTube channel. So the really quick and easy way to show your support is by hitting that subscribe button below. Thanks for your support, and back to the show. Speaking of grinding, I want to transition and talk about your recent accomplishment. You just became one of the most legendary jobs, I think, in the world, and probably one of the jobs that you could go anywhere in the world and you would see at some point an FDNY logo on a shirt or a hat.
Mhm.
Talk to me about what that was like becoming a New York firefighter. That's nuts.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the whole process was pretty crazy for me. Um, Not a lot of people know, but I was EMT beforehand for the fire department. So they're affiliated with each other, which not a lot of people know. They think like they see an FDNY logo, they thought like, oh, just firefighter, but like it branches off. There's EMTs, there's paramedics, there's a whole bunch of other stuff as well. But I did that for 3.5 years. That job was tough, but I had like really good bosses, and the area that I worked in was pretty tough too. I don't know if you know anything about Harlem. It's like pretty crazy over there.
Yeah, I grew up in southeastern Connecticut near like the Mohegan Sun area in Foxwoods.
Mhm.
And I'm a huge Yankees fan. And so we would take the train and the bus to New York all the time. So I spent a bunch of time in the Bronx and Harlem area. So I'm kind of familiar with it.
Yeah, yeah, like, you pass by, you see all the crazy stuff that goes on over there. So
Yeah.
I worked there for 3.5 years, and then actually the purpose of me working there was just so eventually I could branch off and be a firefighter. So you could take a promotional test and then branch off and, go into the academy and then continue your career like that.
Wow.
But, actually for me, I took the open competitive test back in 2017. And they called me off that. So I really didn't even need to be an EMT for 3.5 years. But I got a lot of experience. I learned a lot about that job and working in that area as well. So I got I got good, like I said, I got good experience there. So I'm not too mad about it. But I got lucky. I got called off a test back in 2017 that I took. Usually they expire that and they move forward and take a new one. But I think with COVID and everything, they had like a little freeze for a little bit, and they didn't send through the next test. So I actually got called off there, which is pretty
Holy cow.
crazy.
Wow. What did that when you were, because I think you were on Play the Game or something a few years ago, and I remember hearing you were an EMT, and I was like, holy shit, that's crazy that this guy's an EMT, Monday through Friday, and then on the weekend you're coming to a paintball field. Like,
Yeah,
everyone stresses out playing paintball, and you're literally saving people's lives. Like,
yeah, yeah,
how does
yeah.
that translate to you? Like, we'll dive into the firefighter piece in a little bit, but like when you were an EMT, what was that like? Going through what you're doing and then stepping on to a paintball field where you're on a 1-on-3 or you're a low body situation where people are typically stressed out.
Yeah. I mean, I would say just from like playing with leverage for so long, like we always played low body situations. So, um, like stuff like that, when a normal person would get stressed out, I always think like I see crazier stuff and like there's no reason to be upset. Like people deal with real problems. Like at the end of the day, paintball is a game, it's fun, it's something for everybody to do, but people have real problems, real stress issues. And a 1-on-3, it's like whatever, I'm going to try my best. It's like you get shot, you get shot. It's not a big deal. You move forward and you just keep thinking ahead. You don't think about, oh man, I really wish I didn't get shot like that, because then maybe we could have won that point. It's like, no, think about how you got shot, think about how you could avoid it, and just move forward. That's the only purpose of thinking back on things. Think about how you could be better.
So it almost seems like did you grow up a baseball fan at all?
No, I didn't really watch baseball too much.
Not baseball. A lot of baseball players talk about, and you hear it in all sports too, but they talk about when you're out there, like controlling your breath and like almost everything slows down for you.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, for sure.
and I would imagine like being in those really high stress situations as an EMT, like you have to almost calm your breath down, like calm your heart rate down, so you become the voice of reason for everybody. And it seems like that translates really well for you.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I actually learned that. I would say I first learned that with my boxing coach,
Oh
Steve.
wow.
Yeah, Steve Ick, and God rest his soul. But he actually taught me you know, control your breathing. And we did like a whole bunch of cardio and stuff like that. And when you're at your most exhausted point, like that's where he would try to teach you the most. And that's where I think I learned the most. And I would say that resonated with the job, paintball, and you know, and you get like bits and pieces of everything everywhere, and you could, you know, advance your mind and learn how to overcome different situations.
Yeah, wow, that's crazy. Do you still use some of that breath work before you like step on the field?
Yeah, I would definitely say like when I'm stretching and stuff like that, I try to focus on breath work. Sometimes what I'll do is I try to amp myself up, get my heart rate up a little bit just before, get a good sweat going on. I mean, I know a lot of players do that, but not a lot of people talk about it.
Yeah.
But I definitely get like some good stretching in and work on breath work a little bit before I play, and I feel like it helps a lot.
Yeah, it sounds like, I mean, clearly your performance shows on the field, you know, especially like this last event where it was crazy hot, you know, it was just a
Yeah, yeah.
grind of a weekend. Speaking of being at really, really hot things, like transition, talk to me about the firefighter life. Like, what has that taught you going through that whole entire process?
Yeah, I mean, I would say the academy, if anybody's ever heard about it, they know that they're paramilitary. So there's some history behind that where somebody that was in the military switched everything over to just mimic the military. So the training is very similar between the running, people yelling at you, people putting you in very high stressful situations because you have to overcome that. Like this is a perfect example. I was talking to somebody at work today, and he said that somebody was screaming at him before when they were like, my family members in that building, my family members in that apartment, blah blah blah. And he said he was like getting, you know, smacked on the back of the head, and he's trying to mask up, put his gear on, and run into a burning building. So you're talking about high stressful situations. Like, come on, it can't get worse than that. And yeah, I mean they got lucky. Him and the lieutenant he was working with wound up pulling like one or two people out, something like that.
Wow.
But just the whole academy, like I'm talking about, like people get in your face, they scream, they yell. You got to do push-ups. You got to do. Some days were bad. You have to wear all your gear, which is like I would say like the gear that I wear when I'm going to work and carrying all my equipment is like close to 100 pounds sometimes. You like, you know, with everything that you got on, depending on what you're carrying and stuff like that. But yeah, we would wear all our gear. They'd make us do push-ups. They make us do hold a 30 or 40 pound bag like straight in front of you, and do high knees, do burpee broad jumps, do lunges, do everything. And you know, people get in your face, people yell, people scream, but you gotta be calm, cool, collected. You can't yell back. You gotta say yes, sir. So I would say like that whole experience changed me as a person forever in probably the best way possible. I would, if everybody could go through and they want to go through something hard, you know, I mean, I know not everybody gets that opportunity, but it was awesome to learn, you know, from that.
Have so like you said that was almost a life-changing experience for you.
Yeah,
Have you
absolutely.
noticed anything off the field changing for you, like just in your day-to-day personal life?
Um, well, right now I've just been working like crazy, so I'm definitely a lot more tired. I don't really have that much free time.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't have as much time to play paintball as I wanted to, but it's getting close to the end of the summer. You know, I'm getting some more days off and stuff like that. I've been working for some people, so um, but like going back to your question, I would say the stuff that I learned in the academy definitely helped me on the field. Um, I would say that, you know, the people yelling, screaming, and all that other stuff. A lot of things that they would do is like we had a group of almost 30 people together, and if one person messed up, everybody messed up. That was always a rule. And not a lot of people realized why they did this, but a couple weeks into it, I realized why. It's because if one person messes up, they could kill everybody. Like you're talking about being on the fire floor. If you don't get water on a fire and you know you're the reason that everything's messed up, you could get everybody killed. So what everybody tried doing is, you know, one person messed up, everybody messed up, and you try to build with each other. Like you try to help each other out and say like, yo, listen, you got to make sure, you know, we used to have to wear ties and tie clips, and you would have to wear a cover, and everything had to be squared away. Everything had to be perfect. Your tie clip had to match up with the bottom of your shirt pocket. Your shirt had to be tucked. You know, if somebody messed up, we would all pay for it. Do push-ups, sit-ups, all those types of workouts. So I think learning that, it was kind of like a lot of people would get mad at first and say, you know, this kid's always messing up, blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, let's try to work on it. Let's all try to be better and improve from it. And I would say that helps on the field with me. It's like, if I mess up, I try to be accountable. I try to say, where did I go wrong? And I'll say, guys, I'll be better for next time. Same thing with other people that mess up. Listen, I really think you're battling too much on the field. You need to cool it down. Like, you got a job to do. You know, maybe they take that bump. You don't need to be that aggressive. You know, take it down a notch. You don't have to scream, are you an idiot? Why'd you make that move? You lost us a whole match. You lost us a point. It's like, it's never worth it. It really isn't. You got to, like I said before, you got to focus on the mental part of the game. You got to improve for the next point, even the next match. If you lose a match over a stupid bump, it's like, well, now you know not to make that mistake again. Don't do it again.
Yeah. Yeah. Gosh, like that advice right there is, I think, what separates the top tier professionals, even from people that are in the league, but also divisional too, right? Like, you'll see, I'm sure you see it at your local fields, is kids are yelling at each other. You know,
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah, and it's what are you doing? You know, and it sounds like what you learned at the academy going through that process was even your weakest link is still on your team, and that what somebody consider a weak link maybe is the decision of if you're going to live or you're going to die.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, you really have to rely on everybody and what they're going through.
Yeah, they always say you're as strong as your weakest link. So you can't move forward without that guy. So, you know, you might as well try to push him forward.
Yeah, totally. And I think that's the shift for a lot of teams too, is, you know, whoever that person is, like, that's where you start to see some of the cracks where, like, people start to talk and, like, they talk about that person behind their back. Right. And, like, it starts to just fester and becomes like a cancer in the team.
Yeah.
As to where the opposite, like what you're doing, like, hey, you got to step up here. Like, we want to help you. Like, we're all in this together, but, like,
Yeah.
let's learn together.
Mm-hmm.
So it sounds like this taught you a lot about communication, and just being, like, how important a team is.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, for sure. Yeah, like, I always try to be, as much as I can, I try to be positive and look forward. I mean, sometimes someone needs you to be a little louder just so you get your point across. But I would say, like, I always, you know, I don't try to point fingers too much. I always try to make sure, you know, like, we're improving, we're doing better as a team, as a unit, because when your team falls apart, like we said, the weakest link, or, you know, two people like that, it's like, all right, now you're playing a 3v5. You know, all these other teams, like, you know, Impact, Russian Legion, PB Fit, you know, they're using, they basically have one mind. You know, everybody's playing together, everyone's working together, everybody's moving together.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a machine, right? And it sounds like you need that to be successful to, you know, one, put out a fire, and also save lives too.
Yes, absolutely.
What was it like? You know, this is probably a question you're going to get asked the rest of your life. Like, what's it like running into a fire? But, like, the first few times when you're going into, you know, a fire, whether it's a house or an apartment building or a business, versus, like, now that you're kind of in it a little bit, have you noticed anything change about yourself?
I think this kind of goes back to trying to be calm, because, like, you're talking about your adrenaline rushing to the max. Like, people play paintball for the adrenaline rush. Like, imagine running
High.
into, like, a burning building. Like, we trained on that a lot in the academy, where it was controlled fires, but also
Yeah.
it's like you're running into a fire, you know? So I would say they do a great job with that, where, you know, you learn to control your breathing. Like, forget about, you know, it sounds crazy, but forget about the big burning fire inside the building. Think about what needs to be done. Like, how could I get in there? How could I stop it from getting further and getting to other exposures and stuff like that, and possibly, like, getting to other people, you know? Like, a lot of people die from smoke inhalation just because of how thick and bad the smoke is. So it's like, you know, if you don't control that, um it could move to other exposures and affect other people. So it's like, you got to think about the bigger picture, you know, just control the fire, get as many people out as you can when the situation comes, and just be the best you can. You know, that's all you got to do.
Yeah, that's one of my local guys here, Tanner. He just joined the fire department here in Austin, whether it's Round Rock or whatnot. And we just had those floods a few weeks back, and man, like I saw him, and this dude's like he's a machine. He's rock solid. Like super fit, and he's like, man, I'm exhausted. He's like, I just got done working however long his shifts were, and he was like, I still don't like. There's still more work to be done. Like we still didn't even touch it.
Yeah.
And I would imagine that's probably like that for you too, where like you're working these crazy long shifts and you still sometimes don't feel like there's still fires always happening.
Yeah. Yeah, for
Like
sure.
how do you turn that off? If you do.
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's just like trying to get as much sleep as I can, like on my days off, and also try to be in the best shape I can. Like I just started working out again, like pretty consistently, because at first when I got to the firehouse, like there's a lot of work to be done. Like, they teach you how stuff, and they teach you how to be a great firefighter. I learned from a lot of great people over there. They talked to me about their experiences and stuff like that, and they're light years ahead of me. Like I want to be half the firefighters they are, but it's tough to like just turn it off. I would just say, just when you get home, just try to focus on being home, and when you're at work, focus on being at work. I never try to drag my bad experiences and stuff like that into my own house. I always try to talk about my family, talk about their day. I never talk about the crazy stuff that I really see. I might mention it, but like I won't mention how grueling and how terrible it is to see, crazy stuff like that.
Yeah. Is that something that you kind of have to learn to do, like back in your EMT days?
Yes, I would definitely say that, because I see a lot of crazy stuff, and I don't know if you ever hear people say this before, but it's like the average person will see like only a few traumatic experiences in their life, and it's like people that work in the 911 system, nurses, cops, firemen, EMTs, like they'll see over 4,000. Like I seen that the other day, and that really resonated with me, because it's like it's definitely true. You know what I mean? Like you'll see crazy stuff every single day that you work, and you gotta kind of just you have empathy, but also if you make that connection too much, it'll drive you crazy. So you just try to do the best job you can while you're there,
Yeah.
and just focus on that, and not really the connection, because once you start thinking about, God forbid, your own family members and stuff like that, that's where you'll really start to lose it for sure.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask that because I'm a sucker for all the health shows on TV and like the hospital shows and all that. And one of the things I've noticed over the years is they really like keen in like you can't have that personal connection with somebody. Like you really
You
have to
can't.
make it a job.
Yeah, I really truly believe that you really can't, because the second you do, you'll drive yourself crazy. You won't probably get any sleep. There's some nights where you see crazy stuff where you don't get sleep,
Yeah,
or like there's been situations that I would say definitely bother me for like a few days, maybe a couple weeks. Even still now to this day, like I had some experiences that I'll never forget.
sure.
I could think about what was something crazy I seen, and then boom, like 4 or 5 like really terrible things like just pop in my head.
Yeah.
You know?
Wow. Is paintball still like an escape for you? Because I know a lot of people who are going through a lot of really challenging things in their life. Depression and anxiety. Like they literally live for Sunday, where when they show up to the field, they can just like shut everything off and disappear for a little bit. Uh,
Mhm.
do you still notice that about yourself? Like when you get to the field and you play, like does all of that stuff kind of go away?
Yeah, I would definitely say that for sure. I mean, it's like I'm hanging out with my friends that I've been friends with for over 10 years. Um, we're getting away from the weekend. Some people are getting away from their work life. Maybe something's going on with their family. And it's just nice being out on the field, just, focusing on just playing paintball. It's like, yo, how are we going to move up the field this way? I think if we team up over here and these guys move up the Dorito side, it's a better push side. You just focus on game plan strategy, and then jokes, laughs, having fun with your friends. There's sometimes there's nothing better than that.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
would say it definitely, shuts that off, and you don't really think about it as much, and your adrenaline rushes with running and shooting people with a paintball gun.
Yeah, it's like
Good
that kid
escape.
comes right back out.
Yeah, yeah, it's a good escape.
Yeah. Does anyone in your house know that you play professionally?
Um, I think a few people mentioned it before, but like I'm like the new guy around, like you're not really supposed to be out there just talking about, your life and blah blah blah, all this stuff. Like you're there to learn. You have 2 years in one mouth for a reason. So, you gotta listen more than you talk. And I'm learning a lot from them. So I don't really talk about my inside life too much unless they ask me, you
Sure.
know? So, a few people mentioned it before. They're like, "Oh, I seen, you're on social media and stuff like that. You play pro?" And I was like, "Yeah, I play a little pro, whatever, like I don't want to like use it as like the main topic, you know what I mean? Like I'm there to learn from them and be a great fireman.
Yeah. Gosh, that's like I think that speaks so much volume to you as a person, right? Because I think if we think back to, the kid, the who probably first dreamed of being a professional paintball player, you'd probably back then tell everybody like, "Oh man, like I'm a professional. I can't wait to like have that."
Yeah. Yeah.
And now that you're there, it's almost like you kind of push it away and like, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to take it away from this moment, which is
Yeah.
wild to think about.
Yeah, yeah. I would definitely agree. I mean, I remember when I was like 12 years old watching like Oliver Lang, Ryan
Yeah.
Greenspan, uh, Angel, like all those amazing people that were so good at paintball. I'm like, I'm gonna be pro one day. I remember I said it like after the first like after my first gun. It was like I got an invert MIDI. I remember I was like playing with my friends in the woods, and I was like scared to get shot and all this stuff. And I always said like, I'm gonna be pro. I'm gonna be pro. And you're right. It's like once you get there, not that it's not like the best experience ever because I love it. It's a great time, but it's really all about the journey. It's all about working to get there. It really changes you as a person. And yeah, it's just, life's crazy the way everything works. Like I'm like I said I want to be a fireman for so many years, and look, I'm here right now.
Yeah.
And sometimes you got to just live in the moment and be happy for where you are, cuz sometimes a lot of people think like, oh, I need to make more money. I need to do this. I need to do that. And I would say I'm one of those people. And, sometimes when I have a conversation with my mom or my girlfriend, they always like, take a second. You need to breathe. Like you're in a great spot right now. Like this is where you've always dreamed to be. You're
Yeah.
in that spot. I'm a fireman. I'm a pro paintball player. And it's really tough juggling those things, and I'm still looking to improve. I'm still looking to do better. I'm still looking to do more. But like they're right. Like sometimes you need to take a deep breath and say, like, man, I really made it far. I really did.
Yeah. So like, do you do that?
What, like, do I take a breath and just relax?
Yeah. Like, have you had any like, oh shit, or like holy shit moments when you're, standing at the firehouse and you're looking around, you're like, wow, like I'm here. Like, have you had that moment yet?
Yes, I definitely did. I mean, there's days where I come back home and I'm stressed out, and maybe there's other things I want to do. And that's like where I'll have a conversation with my mom or my girlfriend or something like that. And they always like bring me back. They keep me level headed. They're like, take a deep breath, like realize what you did. And
Yeah.
it's great to realize all the things that you've accomplished, but it's like at the same time you always want to move forward, you always want to do better, but it's like sometimes you do need to take that step back, you need to take that breath, you need to relax and say like, I'm in a really good spot in my life.
Yeah, you gotta appreciate the moment. That's something I've learned over the past few years is, like same thing for you. When I was a kid, I dreamed of just being on the field or just being near, like the Oliver Langs, the Angels, the Ryan Greenspans and whatnot. And when I finally got on the pro field to like take photos, like it was such a I'll never forget like the first photos. I was like, oh my God, I'm taking pictures of my heroes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then, like, a year or 2 later, there was I forget what event it was. It was super hot or maybe it was, like, crappy weather, and I was like, "Man, this sucks, like, this is such a grind." And then I stepped back, I'm like, "What am I doing?" Like, a few years ago, I would just dream to be here right now.
Yeah.
So you almost, like, reappreciate that moment, and it helps you, I guess just appreciate more of the journey. So yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. And I'm working on getting Scott Stewart on from Paintball Fit in the coming
Yeah, he's
weeks.
awesome.
Yeah, he's got a cool story too. But one of the things I really want to press him on. So Scott, if you're listening, get ready for this one. I always hear in the pits like, "Hey, we're not happy. Like, we're not happy yet."
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like,
he has that, like, Kobe Bryant mindset. It's awesome,
yeah,
man, it's awesome.
it is. But like, you're, it's the same thing, right? Where like he is now a professional athlete, one
Mhm.
World Cup, is winning all these crazy one on ones, and like, if you don't take a moment to appreciate that, someday it's going to be all gone, and now it's like, "Oh shit, I wasn't even there for any of those moments because I was so focused on the next one."
Yeah, yeah.
You
I
know,
mean,
so
it's like one of those situations that's so tough because it's like if he didn't think like that, he didn't have that mindset, maybe he would have lost one of them. Maybe he would have lost two of them. You never know. But
yeah,
I just hope that when he gets home or after the event, he takes a step back, realizes all the things that he accomplished, and
yeah,
kind of goes back to like what we were talking about. I'm sure he's thinking, oh, we got to win the next event now. Like as soon as you're done, like even when I was playing with leverage last year,
yeah,
I was thinking about like the next event. How are we gonna win the next event? But you do need to take that second, maybe have a cigar, have that beer with your friends, enjoy, talk about the good things, good memories and stuff like that, which, I hope he does.
yeah, yeah,
But
for sure.
you gotta live the best of both worlds. Like some people are 95%, they only enjoy five. Some people are 99, only enjoy one.
Yeah, enjoy nothing, yeah.
Yeah.
Talk to me more about leverage. Like, I think it's been cool watching your journey, playing with leverage and the Bears and back with leverage. Um, I was thinking about as I was prepping for the show, like obviously you guys dominated, in the semi-pro league, and then you came up, and I think everyone has this, right? Where like you've got these high hopes, like, we're gonna win events, and then to like have the struggles of not having that, like that's where you sometimes see a lot of teams fall apart. You see like
Yeah.
programs kind of go away. Um, what was it like for you, like going through that mind shift of getting back on the pro field now with leverage? So like talking about the whole entire process.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I would definitely say, a lot of people we definitely got like some hate and some people that were like, oh, semi-pro is really different to pro and they didn't believe in us and all this other stuff, but not a lot of people know the story behind our team. Like five of our starters weren't playing the first event. Like there was probably like I don't know if a lot of people know, Jake Seaball.
Yeah, I'm working on getting him on too. Yeah,
Yeah, he played on leverage. I don't know. Some people just
yeah,
completely forget about that, but he was a starter on one on our line when we won the pro spot. So like he was a big help. We also had Alfred, Ricky Moran, Zach Moran, me, Frankie Prosciutto, um, uh, uh, Chris Sanborn,
yeah,
and we had a couple pickups here and there too, but like that was like our main guys and our starters out of that, weren't playing the first event. Like on Friday, I couldn't make it. Um, who else couldn't make it? Frankie didn't make it either, and Jake wasn't there as well. And then Zach just got surgery on his knees, so it's like we had like like two of our
gosh,
starters, and people are like, "Oh, leverage sucks, leverage this, leverage that," and it's like people don't realize that there's real life outside. Like people got work, people have stuff going on. Like I
literally
couldn't
saving
make it.
lives.
Yeah, I couldn't make it because of the academy.
Yeah,
So the academy, if you miss one day, there's a chance that you could be kicked out. So it was like I needed to spend whatever the 4.5 months or 4 months, whatever it was, on focusing on that, getting this job because this is what I really wanted to do. Besides being pro, this is something else that I really want to do. And unfortunately, right now paintball doesn't pay the bills. I don't know what the future holds, but right now it doesn't. And to have a career like this that I always wanted, I couldn't give it up. So
yeah,
the first event I missed Friday, second event I missed Friday. So I only came for Saturday, those events. And then here and there, like I said, he's on PB Fit now. So that's one person out. Frankie only came to one event, which was I think the second event. And just our players are kind of like people got work, people have lives, and we can't have our main guys out there. We're trying to bring everybody back in, trying to get everybody else besides Jake that's on a different team to play every weekend and get back into the flow of things, and just so we could show people how good we really are.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and then even the first event, we had two overtime matches. And I was there for one of them. Super close game. We had another one against. We had one against Uprising as well. We had one against Aftershock. You're talking about like Sunday teams there.
Yeah,
Oh,
totally.
and it sucks because people don't know about how close the games were. They'll just know if you won or lost. Like, oh, did you make Sunday or you didn't? They won't know. Oh, you lost two of them in overtime. They won't know you lost a 1 point. And I know that's a difference maker, but it just shows how close we are, and we just need to improve that little amount. And that overtime match goes into us winning by 1 point. That like the last event, we finally won a match. Um, Everybody was level-headed, everybody was calm, cool, collected. We were
Yeah.
practicing more together. I was able to be there for Friday, Saturday. Most of our not even our core guys, two of our guys, Alfred and Frank, were out too, and we still made it happen. We had a really close match against Heat. I'm pretty sure we only lost by like 1 point. So it's like teams that are high up, we're sticking with them. We gotta just make those few changes and work a little bit harder as a team, and we'll make those improvements.
Yes, thank you for sharing that because like that's the gold right there that people don't realize. They're just looking at the W's and the L's, right? Like, oh,
Yeah.
leverage, they lost X amount of matches. Like, of course they're not going to make it. But like now hearing all of the off-field struggles that the whole program went through just to even get to the event, it almost makes you appreciate like, hey, we were this close. Like, just
Yeah.
imagine if we had a few more pieces of what we could have done.
Yeah, yeah, for
Um,
sure.
and so it sounds like that's kind of giving you motivation to go into Texas. Um, do you know, are you going to have a full roster? Like, are you going to be there all 3 days?
Yeah, so I think as of now we have everybody that's supposed to be there is
Awesome.
gonna come, and we have a full roster. We're having it's the summertime, so people got either work,
Sure.
families, vacations and stuff like that, but we're still trying to set up practices. So we got one coming up in a few weeks that we're setting up. We're trying to get some other pro teams, maybe semi-pro team as well down at Quick Shot, the field that we play at all the time.
Yeah.
Um, and we're just, we're trying to focus on back a little bit to the fundamentals, communication, teamwork, moving together, helping your two helps your one move up the field, just working on that click, that connection.
Have you noticed anything from, obviously, going through like the firefighter training? I'm sure they talk a lot about communication and like relying on your team. Have you noticed like a shift in your brain at all when you are thinking about paintball now? Like, do you look at the game differently?
Yeah, like I said before, I mean, even as a EMT, um, I was always trying to be calm in stressful situations. Like that was one thing I would definitely strive to do more.
Yeah.
Is even in stressful situations, try to be the calm one.
Yeah.
And I would say, after going through the fire academy and going through those stressful situations and just the job in general, I definitely try to resonate that with my team. Like I always try to be positive. If like I said, if I make a mistake, I try to own up to it and be better for the next one. And same thing with my team. Like it's not good to point fingers and blame people. It's better off to say like, yo, listen, we don't need that bump over there. We gotta stay back. You gotta help your two get up the field. You gotta help the one get up the field. Like focus on your job. Some people get a little too excited and they veer off what we need to do as a team.
Yeah.
And that one person, will mess everything up. And it could be the best player on your team, but also it's like if he's going out there doing his own thing, that one person might be the weakest person. So
Yeah.
it's like we all need to work together as a team, be level-headed, be calm. When people are screaming and yelling at each other, maybe you should be the one to say like, "Yo, let's just focus on the next one. Focus on the next one." That's one thing our team definitely strives to do. You'll see even pro players, you'll see them blow up in the pits, get mad. You know, it's a lot of built up tension. Maybe that happened the week before, so you don't really know what's going on. But I have to say for me, like what works for best for me and my team is like when everybody's calm, when everybody's level headed. As soon as we somebody screams, throws something, yells, points fingers, that's where it just spirals downhill. it's a snowball effect at that point, you know?
Everyone feels it, right? And it's, I
Yeah,
think that translates to what you do is where if there's a chink in the armor, right? Where like if something goes wrong, now that takes you off of your job, and then you've got to focus on calming that person down, which like that's where the snowball starts to happen.
yeah. And you're
So
talking about we gotta go back on the field in a minute. Like,
exactly.
like how much are you gonna get out by yelling at somebody, you know?
Yeah, and I think that's the where like I would love like at someday to have like somebody who's in psychology or something just really break down the game of paintball and like almost analyze a team of why is this person yelling, like what are they looking to accomplish in that 30 seconds, because every second literally counts in between these points,
Yeah,
just
yeah,
like
for
every
sure.
second counts when you're trying to save lives.
Yeah, like,
So
you could go yell at somebody, "Oh, now you forgot to fill up your arrow. Now you forgot to get the extra paint. Now you
yeah,
forgot to fill up your loader," you know? It's like it in my opinion, it's never worth it. I know sometimes people just need to get stuff out and it's built up tension and stuff like that, but
yeah,
I would say just try your best to save it for the end if you gotta say it, you know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. It's been cool watching Leverage's story. One of my guys who I've met, through like Discord and doing the media side, Justin Vital, I think he's Vitali Images is what he
Yeah,
goes
yeah.
through. Dude, he's like,
Vital Images, right?
yeah, Vital Images.
Yeah,
He's skyrocketed these past few years, like being on the media landscape. He's around you guys a lot. So it's cool to
yeah.
watch your story through his lens.
Yeah, yeah. I really wanted to give him a shout out because he is one of the best people ever. He comes to events with us. I'm talking about like we're close with him to the point where like, yo, stay with us. You
Yeah.
know, like stay in the hotels with us, the Airbnbs, like stay with us. Like we want you there. You know, he's a great vibe. He shoots amazing content. Like you're talking about one of the like just came out of nowhere with paintball, started getting all this expensive gear and then shooting like amazing photos, amazing videos, posting great content. And we're lucky enough where he posts a lot of us,
Yeah.
it's really cool. Even, he went to he's like close with us to the point where like he went to Ricky Moran's race, like he does a lot of racing and
Oh
drifting
yeah.
and stuff like that. He went to some of his races and he'll take pictures of him and
Uh,
stuff like that. So it's like it really goes to show like how great he is of a person and a friend to us.
yeah.
And it's like sometimes you build that connection with people like that, like sometimes it might take years to build a connection like that. Other people, you see how genuine and how nice they are, and you build it in a couple months.
Yeah, and his story is just so cool. Maybe it was Cup last year. I think it was Cup. He, walked up to me and was like, "Hey, I really love your work. I've wanted to meet you." And it's like I didn't know who he was at the time, and then we of course follow each other. And then throughout the journey of this year, like I'm watching his work, and I'm like, I just see his work just like continuing to improve. And
Yeah,
I got to the point where like I'm reaching out to him, like, "Hey, how did you get this shot? Like, what was your mind when you were going through that?" And so
yeah,
it's so cool to see him growing, like as you guys are growing too, and like you're both part of each other's story, and that's what makes like just such a beautiful connection for anyone in media. Is if you can latch on to like a team, you become part of that team.
yeah, yeah, for sure. I definitely agree with that. And it really goes to show that, if you go out of your way and you're nice to people and you keep that mindset of, I might be up here, but somebody might down here, I could still learn from them,
Yeah,
and then boom, you get a little bit better. He axes all the time. Like I see him, he talks to other photographers all the time
yeah.
and he'll say like, "Oh, how'd you get this? How'd you get that?" Like just the similar situation with you. And he's looking to make friends, he's looking to make connections, and he's looking to get better. And it goes to show how quick he did, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, he skyrocketed for sure.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. Good for him.
Yeah. Talk to me about these next few years. Where do you see yourself going, like, 1, in the league? And 2, do you think there's ever gonna be a point where your career is taking so much that you have to prioritize what you end up doing?
Yeah, so I mean, in the next couple years, I see myself in a similar position, but with more control. Right now, I'm the new guy, so like I said, I can't be out there every single weekend playing. It's the summer, the guys that put their time in want to be off, and I try to help them out as much as possible. They got kids and families too. Right now, I don't have kids. I got my girlfriend, but you know, it sucks right now, but this is what's part of being the new guy, and then eventually a year from now, there'll be somebody below me,
Yeah.
and maybe I won't have to work as many weekends, and I could start focusing a little bit more on paintball. And then when I'm at work, I focus on work. So I just hope I'm in the same position, but a little more control. I'll be able to focus more on paintball. Right now, it had to take a step back, but now that I'm done with the academy, I could go drill on a weekday if I wanted to. And then when the weekends come up where I get to play, which I'm going, we're going to do something at Paintball Asylum on the 10th of August, which is going to be a really good time. Um, the guys have been playing at quick shot a lot more, and we're setting up scrimmages and stuff like that. So it's like I'm getting a little bit more freedom as the time goes on, and that's just all it's about. That's why I picked this job as well. It's like I love what I do, but also you get more freedom
Yeah.
as time goes on. And I thought it was, I love the job, I love the career and stuff like that, but also the freedom helps me with paintball as well. So they pair together well. So in a couple years, I see myself, like I said, in the same spot, but hopefully, our team's in top 8.
Yeah.
Maybe something crazy happens at work. I save somebody's life. Like where I drag them out of a burning building. Like the, people think like that happens all the time, but that doesn't happen. Every single day. But you got to be ready for when it does. So
Yeah,
it's
for
like
sure.
stuff like that. Maybe I'll have those accolades under my belt and those experiences, and I'll be better as a person.
That's incredible. I think those are some amazing goals. I think that question, somebody could have taken it and, like, oh, I'm gonna, win World Cup. I'm gonna do all these things, which are great. But like, I really love the spin that you put on it, because you really put like a real life human feel of, hey, I'm at where I'm at, and I just want to keep improving to make my life just a little bit better. And then when
Yeah,
you do that, like everything else starts to fall in place.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. What are give me like one or two stories that you have so far from going through being a firefighter. 'Cause like I said, we're gonna have other firefighters that are gonna listen to this, and like I had one, they had no idea. So like, give me one of your stories that you got.
Um, what do you want it to be like related to exactly?
You pick wherever you want to go with it. Something that stands out to you.
Um, well, we'll talk about like the first fire that I went to, which was pretty cool experience. Um, so it was a liquor store fire, and we were an extra truck company, and we went over to like the salon next door, and we went down there, and you basically at that point you try to look for more extension and stuff like that, because sometimes fire will creep through the walls and the ceilings and stuff like that. So you have to poke holes and poke the walls and stuff like that, just to make sure there's no fire. You got to open up the windows. You got to, that's like kind of like what our job was at that point, which was pretty cool. And it was just awesome, just to like a lot of people, want to be the first ones in the fire, and sometimes it doesn't work like that. So it's kind of like I would say it was like a real life experience where we're doing other work than they didn't teach you right away in the academy. So we were helping ventilate other stores, and then we went downstairs into a liquor store, and it's like it was crazy. You seen the whole place like just turn black, just because how
Wow.
much the fire destroyed everything. Um, but I would just say that that experience was cool for me. It was unique because when we went downstairs, even to um, the the other place, not where the fire started, there was still smoke. And then when we went downstairs to the liquor store, there was still like heavy smoke and carbon monoxide. And it's still dangerous. You have to mask up. You have to be smart. Um, but it was cool, like that was my first experience. And it was nice getting a rep, masking up, seeing what the boss wanted us to do, see what everybody needs to do at a certain job, and you get to talk about certain scenarios, and
Yeah.
what would we do if we were the first due at this job, and you try to attack it like that, work your mind a little bit. So that was just like a cool experience for me. It was like my first one. It wasn't anything crazy, obviously, but
Yeah.
sometimes it's not running straight into a burning building. You know, a lot of people think that's what it is, but it's like, you know, those scenarios do happen. You know, you see it all the time online because it's true, it does happen. But you know, sometimes everybody's first scenario is a little more unique. You know, like mine was a little different.
Yeah, what's funny is like I could have taken that question out and I could have said like, "Hey, tell me the first time you stepped on a pro paintball field," and like the story would have been so similar of like it's so surreal, like you have all these experiences and like you'll never forget like that moment of like everything around you and just there's so many things that will stand out to you. So
Yeah,
it sounds like it's such a similar story there.
yeah, for sure.
Let's fast forward, a year or so ahead when you're now not the new guy in the house, and there's a new guy that comes in through training. What's one piece of advice that you'll give him?
Um, I would say similar to like what some other guys told me. Like going into the firehouse, they this is why I mentioned it before. It was like you have 2 years in one mouth for a reason. So shut up and listen. And you know, you're gonna learn a lot from the guys because they got a lot more experience than you. They've been to more fires and then obviously the new guy coming in hasn't really been to any real ones, but you know, they got a lot more experience than you. They've been through it. They've been through things that you could never imagine. You know what I mean? So when people gives you advice, just shut up and listen. You know, some people might tell you how to do one thing a certain way,
Yeah.
and then somebody else might tell you how to do something else a certain way. And when you're on probation, you know, you got to focus on, all right, what did they say? What can you get out of it? And what did this other person say? What can you get out of it? Because they both might be right, but also they do it two different ways. And it's like you could take a piece out of both and maybe be even better, you know, and do that job better if you just sometimes just shut up and listen, you know. So that's what I definitely try doing over there. That would probably be my first thing as advice.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, because you learn a lot. The second you start talking about like, oh no, someone already showed me that. Oh, I already did that. You know, then people are going to be like, ah, screw this kid. He's a know-it-all. You know, he knows what he's doing. He knows what he's doing already. We don't got to teach him anything. You know,
Mhm.
like sometimes there will be scenarios while I'm at work. A lot of people don't. I don't think a lot of people know. Some people think like you just hang out in the firehouse. Like we drill a ton, so we'll work on scenarios whether it's actually physical work or just mentally, you know. But we'll do a lot of scenarios where we'll pick up, you know, some of those ladders are really heavy. They'll be like 135 pounds, 80 pounds, you know, and you got to try to pick them up yourself and raise it because they say, you know, there's some scenarios. It doesn't happen often, but you're better off being ready. You know, God forbid somebody's screaming out of a burning building and you got to set up a ladder that's 135 pounds by yourself. You better figure out how to do it, you know?
Yeah.
So, you know, you always got to be ready and you always got to drill. Like I said, like we'll drill a ton and then a new group of guys will come and they'll be like, yo, you want to drill on this? And I could have just drilled on it an hour ago. I could have drilled on it 10 minutes ago. I got to be ready. I got to say, yep, I'm ready. I'm down, you know, and work hard. Like I said, I might learn something right there. I might learn a different way to raise it, an easier way, a way that, you know, somebody would be like, yo, I hurt myself doing it this way. Maybe you should try this way. And that's better for me. You know, so like that stuff helps a lot.
Wow, that's incredible. There's so much that just goes back and forth and translates to the paintball field. Like
Yeah.
everything you said there is like, hey, let's just keep drilling. Let's keep preparing for. Hey, we don't know when that situation is going to come up, but like when it does, we have to be ready for it. Like when your marker goes down on a Sunday in the finals, like if you don't know how to take it apart quick, like you're going to struggle.
Yeah, exactly. You got to figure it out. You
Yeah,
definitely got to figure it out.
man, incredible. Thank you so much for what you do, dude. Like on behalf of the whole entire paintball community, obviously have a lot of people who work in a field where you are giving back to the community and saving lives directly. So it's so cool to see you get to the level where you are, where you're working one of the most coveted jobs in that industry, and you're just at the beginning of it. It'll be cool to watch your journey.
Yeah. Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
For sure. So we talked a little bit at the beginning of the show. I've got a cool way that I end all of my episodes by asking a question from last week's guest, and then you'll be able to ask a question to my next week's guest without knowing who it is. And so last week I had on Scotty from Will Ball for Soup. I think everybody knows who Will Ball for Soup is.
Yeah, I seen it.
And his question is pretty good, especially with the ESPN show happening. His is NXL. It's a two-part question. NXL is experimenting with 3-man and think it'll be easier to be consumed, by the non-paintball viewers. Do you think 3-man will help grow the sport into the future? And the second part of that, do you think getting on ESPN2 will help the sport, and where will it go with that?
So the first part of your question, with 3-man help grow the sport? I think it might. I could see how it's easier for the viewers' eyes. I could see how it's easier to, see exactly what's going on. I mean, a lot of us grew up playing, like 5-man, 7-man, 10-man. So it was like as the years went on, I mean, you know yourself, people went from 10-man to 7-man to 5-man, and every single time everybody was like, no, 10-man is the best, 7-man's the best, 5-man's the best. I got to be honest, I played a couple of 7-man events and they are so much fun. The more people to play with, it's more people to play against as well. So you're playing with your friends, everyone's on the field. You're shooting more people sometimes. So it's like, what's more fun than shooting more people? Right. But at the same time, it's like, if it's better for the viewer's eyes, it might be better for the sport. And sometimes you got to just kind of suck it up and see where it goes. Like there's no harm in seeing where it goes. I know a lot of people might say like, no, 3-man sucks and it's boring and blah, blah, blah. But like, if it's easier to watch and it's helping grow the sport, and, people start getting paid to play, and people's full-time jobs. Like I know there's some people out there, but it's not like every pro player, there's just, I would say the upper echelon right now that gets to get paid fully, full-time to play paintball. But like, imagine it could be everybody, and before you know it, that 13, 14, 15-year-old kid, instead of being so far away, it could be just at an arm's reach. Sometimes you just need to get there, and it could change everything. So I would say, yeah, I think it's good for the sport. I know change sucks. Nobody likes change, but it might be the best thing for the sport.
Yeah, we're not going to know unless you try it, right?
Yeah, exactly. There's no harm in trying. If it doesn't work, guess what? We tried.
Yeah.
You can't say, at least, we could have not tried and then nothing would have happened, and then we would have been in the same spot we are.
Yeah, for sure. I love that. And then what about the second part of the question? What about the ESPN2 deal and other, potential TV deals?
Yeah. I mean, I think this just builds off the first part of the question. Is, ESPN, people are going to see that on TV. People are going to watch that at home. That might be better for the viewers' eyes. It might be easier to resonate with, showing your family members that are like, oh, you play paintball? Like, oh, it's on TV. Let's go watch it. It might be easier for them to watch a 3-man against a 5-man. So, being on ESPN, everybody says like, that's everybody watches sports on ESPN, like you can't get better than that, so I think just getting them aboard and along with it, that's our best bet. And who knows where it'll take us in a year or two, even 5 years.
Yeah, because like you never know who's watching, right? Like same thing with this podcast. Like I won't know who's watching or listening until sometimes someone reaches out and I'm like, holy shit, I had no idea that you tuned in. So there's gonna be somebody out there who's gonna tune in, this when this airs, it'll be this past Friday to the 3-man. And maybe there's gonna be a sponsor deal. Maybe that's an outside company that's gonna help out the sport. So you just never know.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, cool. Well, man, the pressure's off. You get to ask a question now to next week's guest.
Okay.
It could be anything. Some of them, while you're thinking, some of them have been paintball related. Some of them have been like life related. Some of them have just been like straight up silly questions. So wherever you want to take it.
Okay. I would say, where do you see paintball being in the next year or two? And how do you see it moving forward instead of moving backwards?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
I actually, you know, I like that a lot because I think we always talk about like how do we move the sport forward, but I don't think we ever talk about how do we prevent it from going backwards. And I think that's also an important discussion to have.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Awesome. Great question, man.
Yeah.
Well, cool, Chris. Thanks for coming on. It's been such a pleasure watching your journey, you know, through like the Bears and leverage, and now to see you are going to just grow even more, just as a person with what you're doing, you know, both on the field and off the field. So thanks for taking some time out of your rest time in between your shifts before you're going back to the house.
Yeah, I'll be back there tomorrow morning, and then the day after that. So I
Gosh, well,
mean, yeah.
let's wrap. Good.
I was gonna say, if it's cool, I just want to give a shout out to like
Please.
all of the people that just been supporting me and Leverage and just what we've been doing. You know, Quick Shot and Filthy Streetwear. We've been playing over there. Like I said, whenever we could get out there, that's a field that we play at. So if anybody ever wants to come out, you know, learn a thing or two, just come up to us, say what's up, say what's going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And also, like I mentioned, Filthy Streetwear, they've been hooking us up with all their new gear and stuff like that. And we get to, you know, basically just show what Leverage could do. You know, like we start our own brand. It's LVG gear, and without them, it wouldn't be possible. Shout out JT, GI Sports, of course. You know, they got the best masks, best guns. I mean, I was gonna say Planet Eclipse got the best guns, but you know, GI got the best paint. We've been shooting it for years before we were even sponsored by them. Yeah. And 33 threads, and they've been hooking us up with straps, so they keep us looking good out there. Carbon Paintball, all our soft good gear, like our pads and stuff like that. That's what we get from them. And I was also going to give a shout out to Justin, Vital Images, because I mean, you brought him up earlier, which is awesome, but you know, he's been helping us, you know, show our gear off. You know, he's been taking videos of us, so it really helps us grow, and people have been supporting us a lot. And without him taking those pictures and those videos for us, you know, we would get maybe a quarter or even half of the people buying and supporting us, which helps us play paintball, by the way. That was like the main part of Filthy Streetwear and LVG gear. Like, it helps us continue playing paintball every single weekend. It helps us get to, you know, the events and stuff like that. So we really appreciate everybody that supports us and buys the gear.
Yeah, it's, you know, it's the machine that keeps giving, right? Like, I think a lot of people don't realize that some of the players in the league or teams that have these like other brands, you're not getting lucrative off it. That's money that's going back into the program, so like these teams can continue playing every weekend.
Yeah, for sure.
It's
And fields like Quick Shot, Don owns the field, and he's been supporting us, you know, so well for this past year, and we couldn't be more grateful for him. And he got 2 brand new fields. Like, I'm talking about, like, nice. If anybody's been there, they know how it is. They hold a ton of events there. Like all those local events that they've been having, they hold a ton of events there. And the fields are brand spanking new. The bunkers are new. The nets are new. Parking's great. You know, so it's like, if anybody's in that area and ever wants to come out, you know, shoot us a message on Instagram, meet us at the field. We're there pretty often. You know, we're always there on Sundays. So I just wanted to give a shout out to them. They've just been supporting us, and we're extremely grateful for it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the theme of paintball. Like, you can't do it without a village, right? You can't do it without your family around you. And it sounds like Quick Shot has just been, and all the other companies you mentioned have been just an integral part of the growth of Leverage and you as a person.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, cool. Well, thanks for the shout outs. That's something I have to get better at, giving my guests an opportunity to do that at the end of the show. I always forget. So
no, it's all good. I'm just happy I remembered, because without them, like I said, none of this would be possible. Like, I wouldn't even be here right now. So yeah, just extremely grateful for them, everybody on the team, including myself.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thanks for the shout outs. Well, cool. Well, everyone else tuning in to another episode of the Shellda podcast, as always, I'm so thankful for it. And we'll catch you on the next one. See ya.